everyone, and welcome to The Honest Piece by Mad Gorilla. I'm Dan, your host. I've been doing a little more thinking about the last episode that just posted, and that is the Don't Try to Not Need Anyone. And there's some additional thoughts that came to mind that I'd like you to consider. We spend our lives growing up, and I don't know whether this is true for you or not. However, as a kid who lived in, I guess you would consider it poverty. It wasn't like I was homeless or that we didn't have food in our bellies and stuff like that, because I believe our mom did the best that she could. However, I do know that there were tough days. I do know that there were things that we went without. But for the most part, we spent our lives growing up being loved by my grandmother, Fern Walsh, and as well my mom, trying to do the best that she could. But, my mom struggled as well. She had been looking for a purpose, looking for security and stability, and we all are. And then what happens is, your children emulate that as a form of normalcy, that is what we had to do. And so we've proceeded to get into relationships that didn't last or that we were not committed to. And it works two different ways, right? Obviously, because I can't say that relationships were the other person's fault in my sense. And I can also say that there were times when it was, my fault or their fault. It just, um, there's just some accountability there. Anyway, my thought is, we spent this time growing up and wanting to be loved and wanting to be accepted and wanting to be valued and wanting to feel worthy. And then we get into our teenage years and we're trying to identify ourselves and we're trying to figure out what it is that we want to do with our lives. Some of us are just hell bent on being rebellious and being a bad boy or bad girl, and I laugh at that because that's I still say that to my wife. I'm going to be a bad boy, and the funny part is that honestly, I just want to be a good person that projects the love and the understanding and the empathy, the empathy and the compassion. I want to portray that, and then I'd also like to receive that in return. And I think honestly, that's where all of us are, because it is in our genome. It is in our genetic makeup. It's human anatomy. It is the energy of that is what humans do. We are here to reproduce, excuse me, and look for a mate. And, there's just so many variables in there that you can't discriminate. Love doesn't discriminate. I was having a conversation with my little brother, and we were talking about how people judge others in their relationships or how outside people view other relationships, but here's the thing. Love doesn't discriminate. Love is absolutely blind. You are obviously searching for something and have found something. If you are in love, you have found something that means something to you, that there is something that you see that you've needed, that you've craved, that was maybe a missing piece. Now, I don't know if you've chosen the right person or if you've projected that onto someone else expecting them to be that, and therein lies the issue. Where is it the wrong person, right time? Is it the wrong time, right person? Is it the wrong time, wrong person? And then you eventually find your way through and you find the right time. It's happening at the right time and it's with the right person. that happened for me almost 25 years ago, 26 years ago. I had went through hell. I put myself through hell. I put other people through hell. That's the honest part. I was the common denominator in my situations. I was the one that, um, based on the decisions that I had made, based on my demeanor, how I understood situations to be, based on my own selfish wants and needs, and the other person in doing the same thing, they were the reasons why they didn't work. So then you get into your young adulthood and you're starting to navigate your way through this maze. You, it's almost like a wall of mirrors in a circus, or at a carnival or a fair. You just keep walking in, but the thing is that you keep seeing yourself in these mirrors, and it's almost like something that keeps getting beat over your head, that when you're looking in those mirrors and you're trying to find your way through the maze, you're looking right back at yourself. And I almost have to say, if you aren't trying to figure the maze out, it's requiring you to slow down, think about the path, think about the moves, the lefts, the rights, the forwards, the backwards, the turnarounds. Yet we are in such a hurry to get through this life that we keep smacking into these walls of mirrors. And it's an analogy really that really makes sense, that you keep smacking into this, but you're not learning your lesson. It's literally telling you to slow down. And so we try to speed this process up of trying to find someone that means something to us, or something that means something to us. We're grasping for straws. We're trying to find things that make sense. Yet they're either the wrong straw. It doesn't The straw's not long enough to fit in the big cup that we have, or the straw's too long and it just doesn't fit right. And maybe you just laugh a little bit at that, but my point is this: is that you get into your older years and you finally established a relationship. You've got kids, you've got a wonderful wife or a wonderful husband, or whatever the situation may be is. Um, and then you start building your family. And eventually your kids start having kids. And this is the one that hits the most, because we get to be something to someone that doesn't even know who we are. We get the opportunity to love our grandchildren. We get the opportunity to show someone else the love that we crave, that we desire, that acceptance. And it is a blessing, right? It is an amazing feeling. Our kids start out not knowing that we are not superheroes. They just think that we can do amazing things, and they look at us through such innocent eyes. And yet we allow our insecurities, we allow our inconsistencies, we allow those thoughts to creep in, and we make the decisions, on how to interact with our children. And sometimes we don't get it right, right? Sometimes we mess up, and we have to be accountable for that. We have to be accountable for the ways that we interact with other people. We have to be accountable for the ways that we are moving, because all of that love and all of that stuff that you are expecting from other people, the acceptance, the worthiness, the value. I think about it with our grandchildren. They know no different. They they're too young to. They can't process it. Now they can process the right and wrong. They can process the yes and no's. But really, I think what they rely on is that energy that is fed off and to another person. I think that we get the opportunity to kind of erase some of the mistakes that we've made. I'm not saying that they disappear. What I'm saying is that you get to do it over again. You get to be a little bit different. You get to be what you wanted to be this entire time. And the crazy thing is that, I watch some of these things on Facebook Reel and TikTok, and I look at Instagram and all of these different places, and I see how grandparents interact with their grandchildren, and seeing them cry and seeing them hold those children so tight, and how excited they are to see them, and then seeing the look on the children's faces when they get to see their grandparent, or they get to see their uncle, or they get to see a family member that's been missing for a while. And that right there, whether it's your grandchildren or your children, or you're an uncle and it's in your nieces and nephews, or it's your best friend and their children, and you get what you've been wanting for so long. I watched a little video of a little girl who opened up a car door, and her uncle was sitting in the other seat, and she opened up the car door, she saw him, and she just started screaming, "Oh my God." And then she just immediately broke down into tears, jumping up in the vehicle, closing the door, doing all the little things that she was just making everything, making sure that everything was good when she got in the car, just so she could get over and jump in her uncle's lap and give him a hug. And he was like, I, you miss me that much? Why are you crying? And that right there is the value. The uncle didn't get the minute to process that, and at some point he will be able to, and this is your opportunity to do the same thing, is to process those moments and allow them to become clear, and to provide clarity in your value and in your purpose of being here. Your children provide the same thing when you come home from work. Your wife, your husband does the same thing when you come home from work. They're asking you how your day was. They're asking you and telling you, I love you. They're asking you if everything's okay. They're wanting to know exactly what it is that they can do to you or do for you to make things better. There are so many things that we miss in life that we are stuck in this vicious cycle of being disconnected and trying to reconnect. We are stuck in this vicious cycle of not feeling what we are projecting to others. Yet, because we are stuck in our heads and in our minds, and we are stuck in this rut that we dismiss, not in the bad sense, but we are not identifying those little tidbits of information that is being given to us, that are being provided to us. We keep asking and crying out for help, and it's not vocal. It's not that we're beating on doors and we're running around with signs or anything like that, because most of us, we will become introvert. We will sit back, and we will stay away from family functions. You'll tell your friends some excuse, whatever it is, that you're not coming to the party because you're busy or whatever. And then you end up sitting on your phone in your bedroom, laying down in your bed, and you're allowing death to creep in. That's exactly what's happening. You're allowing the thoughts of everything that you despise and everything that you really don't want to happen. That's just creeping in your mind. Idle minds, yeah, that's just what happens. So So I have to ask, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to see those happy moments that are right there in front of your face? Or are you going to let those just be fleeting moments that come by and you don't treasure them and you don't cherish them because they are giving you valuable information? The emotions that are backed behind those actions are speaking in massive volume to you. It's almost like you can't even have the volume up high enough because it's literally screaming in your face when your children and your wife and your husband or your kids or your family members or your grandchildren or whatever, brothers, sisters, are screaming at you, yet you fail to recognize them. And it's not that they have their hands up going, what the fuck? They're they are trying to get through to you, yet you're dismissing these little tiny blips on your radar. And maybe it's because it's not as big as you want it to be, but it's something, right? It's something. Here comes another thought. We want it as big and as elaborate as we think in our minds because broken people love so much and so hard that they expect others to do that in return. And you can say, no, I don't expect anything in return, and that's bullshit. So stop selling yourself short for that, okay? Quit acting like you don't need it because you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be crying for help. It's time to start noticing these. I challenge you to start seeing them. The emotion, the love, the care, the understanding, the feeling of being protected, protecting. Watching these videos of these grandchildren going to see their grandparents, it is absolutely pulling at my heartstrings. It's just amazing to see the grandparents' faces. It's amazing to see the grandchildren's faces. And then you go back and see videos of soldiers coming home, or maybe that truck driver that has been on the road for weeks at a time and he finally gets home to his wife and kids and they've missed him so much because he's trying to provide for their family. And that's what he knows what to do. That's what he knows, how to make that money. Linemen is a perfect one. Linemen, utility workers, and such like that are out during these storms that we're having. You know, Milton made landfall last night in the Gulf side of Florida Peninsula. And I was thinking about all these people that have been fleeing their homes and putting things up and not knowing if they're going to have a home to go back to yet. My home's standing. I have power. I have internet. The internet keeps going in and out, though, just because we haven't recovered from Hurricane Helene yet, and they're still servicing. But wow, there are so many things that I'm just not seeing because I'm so stuck living inside my brain that I'm paralyzed. I'm mentally exhausted. I don't want to think about things, but I have to. I have to. I need this. I have to. Because if I don't, I'm going to sit there and just rot away into absolutely nothing. And you will too. So stop waiting for things to happen and make them happen. It's what you want. You're not wanting to sit in your bedroom or lay in your bed or lay on the couch. You're not wanting to do that. You're not wanting to procrastinate. There are things that have got to be done, but one of the things that I had remembered was a post the other day was that stress is caused by lack of inactivity or lack of activity. I'm sorry, not lack of inactivity, lack of activity. Your inactivity is causing stress. It is causing you to question things that are going on around you. I'm not saying that every activity that you do, or, because sometimes there's a chore around the house that you've got to get done and you just don't like doing it. But you know what? It's got to be done. So you're going to have to figure that out. But you've got to start somewhere. This is how we get better. This is how we finally figure out what it is that we're missing. Look at those little moments. Stop and take time to explore yourself. Take time to explore the people around you. We avoid honest and open communication. We avoid saying the things that are hard to say. And we tend to harbor those feelings that turn into eventual resentment. It turns into distrust. It turns into feeling that we're treated unfairly and unappreciated and undervalued. And it's because you're not speaking up. I found that my wife and I have much more meaningful and deep conversations when we are just talking to each other and just the playful banter back and forth. I think it's important. I think that if you're looking for anyone to understand who you are and how you function, is going to require you to have some of these hard conversations. It is going to require you to open up and be honest. You are going to have to be accountable for some of the things, and you're going to have to be willing to accept some of the feedback that you receive because it is going to shock you. But it is also going to be fuel during your journey. So stop feeling, I don't want to make that sound wrong because you can feel however you want to feel. I'm not discounting that. I'm challenging you to start feeling. Let's go that route. I challenge you to include in and start to see and feel those little tiny tidbits. I call them victories, okay? Let's call them victories of things that are going on around you. Take a moment to just look at them, to just identify them. That embrace, that kiss, the I love yous, the I'm glad you're here, stay another day. Stay another day with us. It's another day. Every time the sun goes down, we get an opportunity to start a new day. And it's not the end, it's just a new beginning. And remember, on average, we only get about 84 summers on average in our lifetime. 84 summers. How crazy is that? Now, I obviously don't want to be thinking about it because that can lead me down a rabbit hole that I'm not looking to go down. But it should challenge you. It should push you to appreciate the things that are going on around you. Now, you're going to have to make the decision at some point and determine whether or not the situation that you are currently in is the one that you need to be in. If it is not, You're going to have to make the leap now and get out of it. It is going to be hard. It may be hard for the other person, but consider the fact that it could benefit you to stay. It could benefit you to leave. It could benefit the other person. Maybe you are the one that is too toxic, and you are the one that is going to require additional help, additional counseling, therapy, and maybe you're willing to do it together. Maybe the other person is willing to do it with you. But until you ask those questions, you are never going to find out what that answer is. You are only going to be speculating at that point. So go searching. You have nothing to lose by going and searching for answers. Love does not discriminate. There is someone for someone. I believe that what we fail at doing is that we consider where we live to be our home, and we don't go out and try to explore. It's like Earth is your home, your entire home, and where you live is your bedroom. And you never leave to go see what's out there. I think that's why it's important for people to travel, to go camping. I think it's important to spend time together and go just see different places and experience different things. It's why I didn't stay back home in Kansas where I'm from. I wanted to see and do other things. I love and miss my family very much. However, I wanted and needed it. And I found a great job that, at times I get frustrated with, and at times I just don't want to do. But I think that's with every job, because even jobs that you love doing, there are moments and times where you're going to have a bad apple. Now, um, even if it's a business that you own yourself, and you love doing, and you become successful, there are going to be things that are undesirable. And I think that's just part of the process, you know? So we're not seeking perfection, we're seeking progression. Progression in our relationships, progression in our thought process, progression in our ability to understand, progression in our ability to perceive and understand that there are other perspectives. I believe that we have the opportunity, and we're selling ourselves short by not doing that. So I challenge you again to start seeing those little moments and start exploring and looking for them. You spend so much time looking for negativity that you're missing opportunity for finding the answers that you need. I can't tell you, and this one's going to go a little dark here real quick, but I can't tell you whether or not suicide's an answer or death is an answer, because I've never experienced it myself. I only think in my head that, and I don't know what your belief is, but please just hear me out. I don't, because I can't formulate and possibly fathom what that means. So for anyone to say that it's not the answer, well, I could argue that you don't know that it isn't the answer, because no one knows. One thing that I do know after talking with a couple of friends of mine in a parking lot at the grocery store, one of those friends, well, they're a married couple, and they're um, her little brother committed suicide. And one of the things that bothered me for so long was thinking that maybe I could have talked to him and made a difference because I had been feeling that exact same way. I never really consoled her after his death. I never really processed it. And then I confessed to both of them that I had been thinking and feeling the exact same way that she did and that her brother did. And I just wanted to feel something. And I was unwilling to allow the feelings that I so desperately was seeking. I had this callous skin and this hard heart and this hard mind, and I was not appreciating the moments. And it is a struggle. It is a struggle to see those moments when we're depressed. It's a struggle to see those moments when you're not at your best. I can tell you this, excuse me, they will pass. They will pass. They are just like these storms. They can be so destructive, yet you can rebuild. You have so many things out in front of you. You have books, you have podcasts, you have other people. There are avenues for you to be able to find the things that you need to rebuild. This is not the end. So please don't give up. Identify, absorb, appreciate. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I've got to find out another thing to talk about, but I'm glad you're here. You're brave. You're here with me another day. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm proud of you. I love you. I hope you see it. I hope you feel it. And then take a look around you. It could be a friend, a coworker. It could be a loved one in your family. It could be one person in your family. It could just be one person that could be trying to show you what you need or is reaching out to you and trying to connect. Don't dismiss it. Embrace it. Cherish it. Okay? Please check me out at amadgorilla.com. Message me if you'd like to. I'd love to see and hear what you've got going on, how you're feeling, how you're doing. Please subscribe to my podcast, The Honest Peace by Mad Gorilla. This is Dan. I want to find your inner peace before releasing the inner beast. Have a great night. We'll see y'all later.